According to the United States Surgeon General, we are currently navigating a loneliness epidemic. 1 in 4 adults reports feeling entirely isolated, disconnected, and fundamentally alone. But you made a conscious choice to sever ties. You looked at your phone, saw their name flash across the screen, and decided, not today, and never again. And here's the part nobody ever talks about. You don't feel lonely. You don't feel broken. In fact, you have never felt more at peace. So, when did this transformation occur? When did you evolve into the person who can walk away and never look back? You weren't always discarded. There was a version of you that was the ultimate anchor. The friend who answered at 2 a.m. without hesitation. The family member who acted as the emotional glue. The partner who absorbed everyone else's chaos like a sponge. You were the first call when life fell apart, and you showed up every single time. You listened to the same recursive complaints, offered the same sound advice, and watched them ignore it, only for them to return for more. Until one day, something shifted deep inside. You didn't pick up, and the world didn't end. It just got quieter. That sudden shift wasn't a sign of weakness. Your brain was simply doing exactly what it was evolved to do. Psychologists have a specific framework for this. Dr. Stephen Porges calls it the Polyvagal Theory. Your nervous system operates in different modes, and one of them is dedicated entirely to protection. When you have been emotionally depleted too many times, when people have consistently extracted more than they contributed, your brain stops asking for permission. It flips a biological switch. It moves you out of social engagement and into what researchers call the dorsal vagal response. In simpler terms, you shut down, you withdraw, and you conserve. Not because you are defective, but because your nervous system is doing its job, protecting your energy as the finite, precious resource that it truly is. But we have to ask, where did your nervous system learn that connection was a threat in the first place? For many of us, the origin story is older than we care to admit. Perhaps you grew up needing to read the room before you could even read books. You learned to skin your parents' faces the moment they walked through the door, realizing that a single person's mood could shift the entire atmosphere of your home. Psychologist Murray Bowen identified this pattern as emotional cutoff. It's the result of a child learning that closeness always comes with a hidden cost, that love and unpredictability are a mandatory package deal. So, you adapted. You became the person who could sense tension before a single word was uttered. You learned that the safest place in the world was often being alone. Now, as an adult, that same survival mechanism activates whenever someone gets too close. It's not a character flaw. It is a blueprint your younger self drew just to survive. However, it gets complex because there is a vital distinction between self-protection and building walls that keep the world out. Here is the objective truth. Not all cutting off is equal. The CDC reports that prolonged social isolation increases the risk of heart disease by 29% and stroke by 32%. It's a physical reality. But what they often omit is that being surrounded by the wrong people is just as biologically damaging. How do you tell the difference? Walls block everyone, the good, the bad, and the uncertain. They are constructed from fear. Boundaries, however, are selective. They are built from self-awareness. If you cut someone off and felt an immediate sense of relief, that is data. If you disconnected and felt peace, that isn't isolation, it is protection. The real question isn't whether you should let people in. It's which people actually deserve access to your sanctuary. Chances are, you already know exactly who they are. There is something fascinating about people who choose to cut others off. You don't do it random. You do it because you have become a master of pattern recognition. That friend who only reaches out when they need a favor? You spotted that by month 2. That family member whose praise always has strings attached? You've known their rhythm for decades. That person who love bombs you and then vanishes? You saw the cycle before it even completed. A 2023 study in Nature Neuroscience found that individuals who experienced early emotional stress developed heightened activity in the brain's threat detection regions. In other words, your brain became exceptionally good at reading people. Researchers at the University of Iowa discovered that the frontal lobe, the CEO of social decisions, works overtime in people with your background. You aren't paranoid, and you aren't too sensitive. You're simply processing social data at a level most people can't even access. That gut feeling is actually thousands of hours of refined data acting as an early warning system. And when that system says a person will drain you, you've finally learned to listen and know you aren't lonely and you aren't broken. You are selective. Society uses words like withdrawn or antisocial for people like you, assuming that you are incomplete without constant noise. But there is a better word: solitude. Loneliness is the painful absence of connection. Solitude is the intentional presence of peace. You aren't sitting in the dark hoping for a call. You are sitting in your own space, finally able to hear your own voice. People who don't understand will claim you are running away. But you know the truth. You are running toward something. Toward clarity. Toward a version of yourself that cannot exist in chaos. That isn't isolation. That is a sanctuary. If you're watching this and wondering if something is wrong with you, hear this. You're not cold. You're not heartless. You are someone who learned the hard way that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Guarding your energy is one of the most quietly fierce things a human being can do. Harvard's 75-year study on happiness proved it. It's not about how many people you know. It's about the quality of the few you keep. If your circle is small but healthy, you aren't doing it wrong. You're doing it right. Protect your peace.